JD here, and I'm doing this Facebook Live just to show off. Very unusual for me because I'm a very humble person, as those who know me would recognise. I've just come from an interesting meeting with a potential new client who wants to use direct response marketing. And that particular client was asking me, look, I've seen JD, all of these things you've done over the years, from scratch games for Westfield and shopping centres and for retailers, and I've seen you do the bingos for the newspapers, the scratch bingos, and I've seen you do the McDonald's drive-through stuff. I've been through your website, by the way, big plug here, theinstituteofwow.com. If you want to steal a whole bunch of good ideas, there's a whole lot of case studies on there with all of this avalanche marketing stuff. But this particular guy is B2B, and he's selling to business owners. And he said to me, look, how do we actually incentivize people who are the decision makers for businesses but are answerable to the business owner? In other words, instead of giving them a Happy Meal toy trinket, which you can do when you're dealing with B2C, business to consumer, how do you do that B2B if the decision maker works for someone? And I said, very easily, you turn whatever the prize is into something that's going to be educational. And he said, well, how do you do that? I said, well, let me just give you an example. There was a client of ours in Brisbane. It was an electrical company, and they produced home automation systems. In other words, the systems that could turn your power on and off at certain times and save you 20 or 30% over the year on your power. And I said they were charging $20, $30 or $40,000 for home automation systems, and their client were high-end builders, people who would be building in Manly or building in Balmoral or in Melbourne, Toorak, on the Gold Coast it might be Sanctuary Cove. And so therefore these guys, an electrical company, were trying to flog their home automation systems to these high-end builders. And they unfortunately were suffering from churn factor. When I say churn, that means the builder might get a home automation system off them for a Sanctuary Cove home maybe on one occasion and maybe on another occasion, but then they'd go and find someone cheaper. And I said, well, you've got to keep those builders sticky. And the way to do that is to provide them with a Happy Meal toy, okay, metaphorically speaking. So I said to them, how much do you make out of a $30,000 home automation system? And they said, oh, half. I said, what? 15,000 out of the 30? You make Ned Kelly look like a gentleman. And they said, yeah, we've got good margin. I said, okay, well, would you give up 10% of your sale price if I could double or triple your business? And of course they said yes. Just about anyone would put their hand up and say, yep, I'm happy to give a 10% away of my sale price if you can double my business. And that's what I normally ask. I said, okay, well, do you think these high-end builders that have the fancy homes that they're building in Sanctuary Cove or Manly or Toorak, do you think they'd like to go to Las Vegas? And they said, well, yeah, we don't know where you're heading, JD, but of course they would. I said, good, okay. Well, for every $10,000 they spend with you, you're going to give them a Las Vegas conference point. And you're going to hold a conference in Las Vegas once a year at the New York Hotel. And what will happen is that every $10,000 that particular builder spends with you, they get a Las Vegas conference point. And when they save 10 Las Vegas conference points, which means 10 times $10,000 they spent with you, they get 2 tickets, one for them and one for their wife or one for their colleague, to go to your annual conference in Las Vegas. They fly over on the Thursday night and they come back on the Monday. Guess what? The conference is Saturday morning from 9 to 12. Okay? So yes, it's a junket, but it's disguised as a conference. Now, I've come from a background of dealing with radio stations and magazines and newspapers over the years, and they've been doing this, this promotion for a long, long time. I've been all over the world, Kuala Lumpur and Singapore and Fiji and New Caledonia, all sorts of places for radio station conferences, but it was based on, of course, going there for a long weekend, and the conference was 3 hours on the Saturday. So if you are a B2B business and you're looking to make sure that whatever the incentive is that you're doing is always going to be, if you like, authorised or, given the consent from the business owner, because it happens to be the promotions manager or the marketing manager or maybe the operations manager that's purchasing from you, then turn your junket into a conference. And it's so easy to do. So I've had a number of clients in recent times where I've said to them, look, it doesn't have to be Las Vegas. Oh, by the way, just coming back to the home automation company, for every $10,000 you get a conference point, and then when you've got 10 conference points, you're off with your partner to go to the Las Vegas conference once a year. Guess what? Instead of making $50,000 out of that 100, which is what they normally would, they make $40,000 because the trip to Las Vegas for 2 people would cost $10,000. Okay, so therefore probably not even that. So the fact is they're giving up 10% of the $100,000, which is, let's say, 10 grand for argument's sake, because it might be 8 or 9. Time I do a Facebook Live, a damn phone call comes through. Mr. Unlucky, by the way. So therefore, yes. So therefore, 10% of the sale price is 10% of $100,000. They would have made 50. Now they're making 40. But I'll tell you what, when they did that, it exploded their business, because the builders who had bought a number of home automation systems off them and had 5 or 6 points, they ain't going anywhere, okay? They only need another 3 or 4 or 5 points, and they're off to Vegas with their wife or their business partner. And we've done a stack of these in probably the last couple of years, whereby the big conference location has been the Palazzo Versace on the Gold Coast. It's a B2B promotion with the same horsepower that you can get when you do a B2C promotion. Because a B2C promotion that falls along the same category would probably be the Happy Meal toy with McDonald's, okay? You buy a Happy Meal and you get their toy. In this instance, you actually spend X thousand dollars and you get a point, and then you save up X number of points to go to the Palazzo Versace conference, the annual conference. And I'm saying annual, it could be twice a year, you can do whatever you like. I just thought I would post this and show off, because I did speak to a client today. I gave them this idea and their jaws dropped and their eyes became the size of saucepans, because they could see that this is a relatively simple idea to implement. I think it's, I'm not wanting to do myself a disservice, it's a great idea, but it's a relatively simple idea to service, okay, and to create. It doesn't take a lot of paperwork, it doesn't take a lot of running, and from a B2B perspective, you're dealing with horsepower, you're dealing with powder keg. I was trying to think of the right word there. You're dealing with horsepower, that does not make any You're dealing with a powder keg that could give you more horsepower, okay? There you go. Somehow got out of that, maybe I didn't. The other thing that has been interesting in my life over the last 2 days, and I don't care whether you find it interesting or not, but I'm going to tell you, and that is I was in Melbourne yesterday speaking at a conference. It was the Business Growth Expo. It was the Marvel Stadium, which is a big stadium in Melbourne, and I was doing my 2-hour spiel on, you know, client attraction formulas and what you should be doing on Facebook and LinkedIn, and what you should be doing on social media mainly. And the questions that I got mainly were around the Netflix model. I had promoted that I would be talking about the Netflix model and how you might like to think about it for your business. In other words, a monthly recurring revenue, because you have a subscription program like Netflix, or like Telstra, or like the health funds, or like magazine subscriptions and so forth. Boy, oh boy, did that get some traction. I was rushed at the end of that, not quite Beatlemania, about half Beatlemania, like Justin Bieber mania, with business owners saying, show me, I want to know how to get there onto this Netflix thing. And the reason they wanted to, of course, is because it's a monthly recurring revenue. Now, we do it for our business. Nobody gets to, you know, sort of get my IP unless they join a monthly recurring revenue consultancy program that we have. And if you are if you're owning a business and you're interested to know more about that, then click the link above me or below. You knew a plug was coming. Above me or below me or beside me, depending upon whether you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn. And you'll see that there are details of a particular coaching program where we take you down the path of showing you how to do that. Basically, what we do is we come in and look after all your marketing for you, and we show you, if it's possible, if you're selling a refrigerator or a washing machine, it's very unlikely that you can have a monthly recurring revenue program. But there's a lot of businesses, many who I spoke to yesterday, who didn't think that their business model could suit a monthly recurring revenue subscription, in other words, a Netflix system, and I showed them in a heartbeat how they could do it. And already out of the, I think there was probably 6 or 7 people that asked me, already 2 of them signed up to my coaching program, so it was a pretty good hit rate. Anyway, out of here, guys, if you're interested to learn more about that, click the link above or below. It's called wowmasterclass.com. Over and out.